Hello y'all, it's Todd and Mr. Wayne over here. We're working on Jared's Buick Lacrosse. This is a 2014. I read some comments on another video that a 2006, this tool does the same thing, so it's most of you Buick cars. Alright, what we run into, changing the back brakes in this car. I've been changing brakes for years. I know Wayne has. To get that back caliper pushed in to where you can put the new brakes on. We always use a C-clamp or an L-clamp, something to push it back in, the back cylinder. Me and Wayne been in an argument yesterday trying to get that thing back in. He's talking about my L-clamp. He said he uses a C-clamp. He's always used a C-clamp. Well, needless to say, we went and got a bigger C-clamp. Bigger L clamp, it would not go in. It would not back up. We'll let Wayne explain what the problem was and what we finally figured out.
I got what he calls the L clamp. It's pretty much the same as what we call a C clamp. I'm always used to you put them on there like that and you screw it together. Your piston compresses back into your cylinder where you got room to put your brake pads and all on it. Well, we tried that, it don't work. This here, they make a tool for it. We got the tool kit right here. They got this tool kit set up that you use to do it with on these newer model vehicles. These pistons don't push in.
All right, I'm gonna stop it right there. Wayne's fixing to show you how this stuff works. All right, these new tools that you use to work on these brakes, I watched several videos on it. They show them putting it in there just like the C-clamp, pushing it on in. That's not right. That is not exactly what happens. What they're not explaining to you, I'm gonna let Wayne explain it to you.
What they don't explain to you is this tool does not push that piston in. This tool, you look on this piston, you got two grooves there. This tool fits up in them grooves, and it's got a plate back here that I'll show you how to install it all. It screws that piston in to make it collapse.
So it don't matter how hard you push back on that C-clamp or L-clamp, it ain't going back in.
It's not gonna go back in.
Got to twist.
It got to be turned back in. Now what I did discover, they said you could use a pair of needle nose pliers. Well, we old backwood country, our needle nose pliers, they're all wore out. They don't work too good. But what I did figure out on the other side, I got the other side already done before we got the tool back. I went and I got my good set of channel locks. You gotta be real careful. You wanna catch. If you use channel locks, slide this rubber back just a little bit. You see this pretty shiny stuff right here, the head of it? You want to put you a rag on there and just barely catch that, and you can turn it with a pair of channel locks. But you got to be real careful where you don't scar it up, because you don't want to scar your piston up. Now we got this fancy little tool. we fixing to see how this fancy little tool works and see just how easy it is compared to the old school channel locks on it.
I tell you what, that little tool right there, and not knowing it twists back in, made a dummy out of me and you, Wayne.
I have to agree, it surely did, because I've never dealt. People, I'm 55 years old. I've been doing mechanic work. My dad started teaching me mechanic work whenever I was a little old bitty toddler. My very first engine I ever rebuilt, I rebuilt it by myself at the age of 11. My dad sat on a 5-gallon bucket. I pulled the engine out of a vehicle. He watched me and he told me what to do. I rebuilt that engine and I put that engine back in my truck at 11 years old. So all I've known is mechanic work all my life. I have never seen a contraption like this here. This plumb blowed my mind when we found out it screws in.
Very easy once you know what you got.
Like I said, it'll blow your mind. Take this. Let me get it set up. Take this right here. Like I said, you got them notches on that piston. You make sure these little tabs that are sticking out, they go into that. You slide it on there like that. You got your back plate on there. You start bringing it backwards like this. Get it straightened out like you want it. Once you get that straight like you want it, then you just start turning this. Well, it wants to keep getting loose. But that's all right. I'll just hold my hand against it. You turn that, and that compresses your piston. Us not knowing, us trying to press that piston in last night, we went ahead, we broke the brake line loose, and we had the bleeder plug loose. On this particular car, that's an 11mm wrench to break them loose. But you ain't got to break them loose.
It still ain't going back until you twist it.
You can leave them tightened up. You can't push it. You've got to screw that piston back in. And that's exactly what we're working on. I just had to tighten the lines up because we had them loose and we was losing brake fluid. So now we're gonna get this back up here. The way we got this thing here all tore apart, you ain't gotta tear it all apart. As we going through doing it, I'll show you. It's got another bracket that goes on it and all. You ain't gotta pull all of that off. We pulled all of this off because we didn't know better. But we learned, and we will show you the other way, how to do it, where you ain't gotta pull all that stuff. And it makes it a whole lot easier.
The main thing I wanted to show y'all in this video is that cylinder is pushed back and it's twisted, not just pushed back. It's got a twist, and then that's what brings it back in.
That piston is all the way back in now.
Now we can get the brakes on.
Now I can take the tool off, I can get the brakes installed on it, and I can go to putting it back together. I forgot to mention earlier, But this here's your back plate, that's your jam plate for you to be able to turn your deal. We kept trying to figure out how to supposed to get it on there when it don't fit over this here. Well, you take it, you go through the handle on that tool, come up here and turn it. It goes right there. Then it sets up against your caliper bolt holes to where that way it can't move. That's how you get that plate on there, if anybody wanted to know. This here is your brake caliper with your slide rail and all on it that your brakes go in. Well, normally people take the bolts loose right here and they remove this whole slide rail. People, you ain't got to do that. You got these rubber boots right here, one on each side. You take and pull them down a little bit, and then you can grab this slide rail. It'll slide right off just like that with no problem. You take, just stab it back onto your bolt, your studs there, slide it back in place, and reposition your little rubber cups on it. You're good to go. Now then, you're gonna take put your brake pads in. That's sometimes a little tricky because they got a little metal clip in there that it wants to be a little contrary. You got to work it just right. That one snapped in place. Now, we're going to take your front brake pad. Snap it in. And people, one other thing, always pay attention. I done it once before. This here's your brake pad. You want to make sure it's touching your rotor. I messed up. I put one in backwards one day and took off down the road.
That made some racket.
I couldn't figure out why my vehicle made so much racket. When I come back and tore it apart, I figured out what it was.
We had iron on iron.
I'd put the brake pad in backwards. It's something that, it's an accident that you get in a hurry, especially if you're working on them at nighttime. You can mess up and put it together backwards easy and not even realize you did till you take off down the road. Well, yeah. It's hard to tell what size this wrench is, but if I ain't mistaken, I think that's a 16 millimeter. This here is for your two main bolts that hold your brake caliper and all together. 16 millimeter fits it.
All right, guys, this ain't a complete video how to change these brakes out. Most of you people can change brakes. They're usually not that hard, but this is just a little trick of a problem that we run into that I wanted to show y'all. Hope it helped y'all out. God bless. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Later.